Hello, and welcome to the MMA Mic Drop Podcast. My name is Jade Bunky, and I am joined by the one and only Milo McGregor, who is not only one of the nation's top up-and-coming amateur surfers, but also an emerging MMA analyst. In this episode, we're going to talk about what matches to make after UFC 303, plus we're going to talk about the winners and losers of the event. Milo, this was an incredible card. Alex Pereira dropped the hammer on Jiří Procházka, sending shockwaves around the world. The dust is still settling. That was an insane knockout. Before we talk about who we're going to match both of these guys up with next, what are your overall thoughts on the fight?
It was amazing. Pereira seems to just keep getting better, even with his age. So, yeah, I'd give the fight card like an A-, I'd say, but it was really good.
Yeah, and like I said, looks like he's getting better, because I've been concerned about his age, and we both picked him to win this fight, but I was a little nervous about that pick, but he looked better from the get-go. He looked fast. He looked crisp. I mean, we knew he would look crisp, but his speed hasn't dropped with his age at all. I mean, he just looks like he's getting better. I was shocked about how dominant that was, and I actually felt bad for Jiří. So the question is, and I would give it an A- as well, just because it was such a spectacular main event. Or maybe a B+ because there were a couple fights that probably shouldn't have been on the main card, like Anthony Smith versus Roman Delites, and maybe Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson, although that was actually a pretty decent fight. It was kind of a fun fight to watch. I'd give it a B+, but it was a spectacular finish by Alex Pereira, showing that he is just on a different level. So, Milo, against whom would you match up Alex Pereira next?
For Pereira, I'd give him Ankalaev. That's a really hard fight, but if he beats him, I think he can definitely be in the GOAT conversation. He already kind of did, but definitely.
Because there's a lot of, I think that's a great matchup. It's kind of the logical matchup, even though I have somebody else in mind. You're keeping him in light heavyweight. You want him to get one more in light heavyweight and then move up, or do you want to see him stay at light heavyweight? What are your thoughts?
I think you should get one more light heavyweight and then move up to heavyweight.
Clear out that last big contender right there. I see what you're saying. For myself, I'm actually doing something a little bit different. If Israel Adesanya beats Dricus du Plessis, you set up Alex versus Izzy 3. It's just one of those rare opportunities to make that mega fight, and I would absolutely do it. It would obviously have to happen at light heavyweight. I don't think Alex Pereira is ever dropping down to 185 again. It's shocking that he ever made weight. But that's where I'm going. I'm going Israel Adesanya. Next up, co-main event, Diego Lopes versus Dan Ige. Both.
How about Prochazka?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready to move on. Prochazka. I am so sorry. So going for Prochazka, I think here's the thing. He has an interesting brand. He's marketable. He's likable. And I want to give him an opportunity to rebound. So I'm going to drop him way down in the rankings. That's where I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe, let's see. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I have a couple ideas.
For Prochazka, I think I'm going to give him Roman Delites. I think that'd be a good fight.
So you think Roman Delites is going to stay in the light heavyweight? He did say he's going to teeter between both divisions, right?
Yeah, but I think that would be a really good fight to make for both people.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He was on that big card, is gaining a little bit of name value, and is not the dangerous fight as some of those, top tiers. I agree with the step back, and I was teetering, and I'm going to look this up right now because I was originally, I was going with Nikita Krylov. He's ranked number 6. It keeps him in the rankings, but then I was thinking, should I really drop him all the way down? And I'm looking at somebody like Bogdan Guskov or somebody still in the top 15, but I'm thinking about dropping him far down, giving him an opportunity where he can get, a highlight finish and somewhere where he is outmatching somebody else. But I do like the Nikita Krylov fight as well. And as I'm looking at the rankings, I'm going back and forth. I'm actually going to go with Nikita Krylov. I was going to drop him off a little bit more, but, I think that's still a very winnable fight for him. And I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
And it keeps him in the top 6 and so forth if he wins. So, all right, next up we had Diego Lopes versus Dan Ige. Both are total studs for what they did. Milo, talk to me about that, and then tell me against whom you want to match each of these men up.
I was super surprised by Ige. I didn't think it was going to go to decision out. And it was actually a really close fight. Diego Lopes almost got finished in the third round. It was pretty crazy. But for Lopes, I'd give him Ortega. I still want to see that fight. Put him in the top 3, and then he'll probably get a title shot after that. Or maybe one more fight. And then for Dan Ige, I think Murphy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think that would be a good, yeah.
I like both of those. And now what's interesting about the Murphy pick, I like that because here you have Dan Ige, who's kind of been that quintessential gatekeeper, right? He hasn't really been able to beat people in the top 5, but if you're back in the top 10, top 15, he's been able to be that guy that's hard to get past. And Lerone Murphy is 14-0, and that's a really kind of an appropriate match for both of them. I agree. Give them that matchup. Actually, no. I like that matchup, but I'm going to go with something different. I'm going to give them the winner of Giga Chikadze versus Arnold Allen, because Allen is 6. Yeah, Chikadze is 9. So it's in that area where, it's not top 5 yet, but I think he does deserve a reward. I do like what you're saying with Murphy quite a bit. I'm good with either or. If you do Murphy, you might have time to be able to get him at the Sphere, which he wanted to do, and I think he's earned that. And then when it comes to Diego Lopes, I could not agree more. I could not agree more with you than that. It should be Brian Ortega. He's earned the right to fight for the number 3 ranking. He's earned the right to fight a big name at the Sphere. Let's make that happen.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we had Anthony Smith versus Roman Delites. I was bored out of my mind with that fight. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, same. I didn't like it too much.
Yeah,
kind of what I expected, though.
Yeah, exactly. Both guys have kind of fallen off a bit, although Dolidze won in a dominant way. Now, against whom are you going to match both of these guys up against?
Like I said, I'm going to give Dolidze Prochazka, and then for Anthony Smith, I think he lost his last fight, and also Johnny Walker lost his last. So I think he should be given Johnny Walker.
I like that. I think that's interesting. All right, for myself, I am going to go Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. It looks like Anthony Smith is still a couple spots what is he? 2 spots ahead of him. Give Dominic Reyes an opportunity to build a little bit of momentum. I like that matchup. And then Delites, you have him still fighting in the light heavyweight. I'm going to move him back down to middleweight, and he's a couple spots above Caio Borja. I cannot say his last name. I always mispronounce it, but you know who you are from the Fighting Nerds, Caio. Caio B. There we go. That's the person I want to see him matched up against next. Before that, we had Macy Chiasson versus Mayra Bueno Silva. What were your thoughts on that fight? I thought it was actually, the fight itself was better than I thought it would be. It was actually a pretty fun fight.
I thought it was better than I thought it would be, but I don't really know who to match him up with 100%. I'm just gonna agree with whatever you go for.
Okay, there we go. So Bueno Silva, I'm thinking. Let's see. Or actually, Macy won the fight. I'm gonna give her Holly Holm. They have not fought yet. Holly Holm, high profile fighter as well. I think that would be an interesting fight. And then Bueno Silva, let's give her Miesha Tate.
What?
All right.
Sounds good.
So there you go. Not a lot of feedback on that one.
Yeah.
But I know there's going to be a lot of feedback on this one. This was the fight for which I was looking forward the most. I thought it was fascinating how it played out. It was a real chess match between Michael Venom Page and Ian Garry. A lot of people, there were some people who were unimpressed by the lack of action, but I couldn't take my eye off the screen because I didn't know what was going to happen. Is Michael Venom Page going to guard in, check his chin, or is Ian Garry going to close the distance and try to, get him to the ground? And, I thought it was a great chess match. What were your thoughts? First of all, did you like the fight? Was it interesting to you?
I was scared the whole time because I really wanted Michael Venom Page to win. but he kept getting taken down. I thought he won the fight personally, but he didn't even think he won the fight.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought he won.
I thought he won too, but it was one of those ones where it could go either way. Definitely not a robbery. It really came down to that third round.
Yeah, it wasn't a robbery.
Yeah, and it's, I could see that either way. I'd slightly favor Michael Venom Page in there, but if you said Gary, I think that's fine. This was a fight from the beginning. I said should be 5 rounds, and I think it really needed to play out over 5 rounds. So that's cool. So you like the chess match like me, even though it wasn't nonstop action, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Ian Gary, big win. He's ranked number 7. Who are you matching him up against?
I'm gonna give him Shavkat. He was calling for it.
Wow.
I don't think that'll go too well. I don't think that'll go too well for him. It'll probably end his hype. But yeah. And then for Michael Venom Page, I don't think he lost too much stock in the fight because he fought really good on the feet. I think it's a hard stylistic matchup. I'm gonna do him versus Colby Covington.
Wow. So you're still putting him against a wrestler. Do you think what do you think is gonna happen in that fight?
I think he's going to piece it up really easy.
You think he's going to piece up Colby Covington?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that I like that matchup a lot. And it's interesting. I'm with you in that I don't want Ian Gary to fight Colby Covington. A lot of people are talking about that. That fight does not interest me at all.
Yeah.
And for me, I think the next matchup for Ian Gary is obvious. I'm not going Shavkat. I do like that, but I'm not going Shavkat. I'm going Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena is number 5. Ian Gary's number 7. It's an appropriate matchup to make. I think it's a fun matchup to make. And then the winner of that will be, I think, one fight away from a title eliminator, or would be in a title eliminator next. I think that's a logical choice. That's where I would go. I like the Michael Venom Page matchup versus Ian Gary. But I'm going to go, Michael Venom Page versus Colby Covington. I'm not going to go that high.
Yeah.
Colby Covington's number 4, and he's a wrestler. I'm going to keep him with somebody who likes to fight on his feet a little bit, who got pieced up by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson a couple years ago. I'm going with Jeff Neal at number 10. Yep. Michael Venom Page wins. He's in the top 10, and then you can get him another high profile fight, maybe in the in the top 5. So that those are our picks. Those are the matches that we think the UFC needs to make for the main card. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about who are the overall winners and overall losers. So Milo, we're going to pick 3 winners and 3 losers. Who came and think of it in terms of stock rising and stock dropping. Who was the biggest winner at UFC 303?
Pereira, for sure.
I agree. Who would you say is the second biggest winner?
Probably Ige, even though I lost.
Really? Okay. Now, so Ige? Okay, go ahead. Who's number 3?
Probably Ian Gary.
Yeah, sad to say, but his stock did rise a bit. So my 3, number 1, Alex Pereira, no doubt. Number 2, I'm going to have to do it a tie. I'm going to give it to Diego Lopes and Dan Ige because they both went through so much to get there. I'm not going Ian Gary because... Oh, go ahead. Do you want to change your pick?
Actually, I don't change mine. I think Peyton Talbot.
Oh, yes.
Forgot about that. Yeah. He definitely... That was a crazy knockout. It was like 16 seconds or something.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think a superstar was born that night, and I think it's Peyton Talbot. I'd have to go him with number 3. A couple honorable mentions, though, because I think there were some big moments for some fighters. Joe Pyfer, he showed that his loss to Jack Hermanson was an aberration, right? He has that real power. He is a problem in the middleweight division. And I think that was just one step back, but that will not define his career. I agree. Yeah, Peyton Talbot, we already said him. Let's see. There were a couple other good fights. Silva looked good. I was shocked about his power. I knew he'd be more powerful than Charles Jourdain. I didn't think he would starch him like that. I thought overall this was a really good fight card. I would also put an honorable mention the UFC. I mean, the fact that they put a co-main event together in 4 hours is just mind-blowing. And it was a card that seemed like it was cursed from the beginning, but it turned out to not only have more competitive fights than how the card was originally billed, it actually delivered in many cases. So what a great fight card. All right. Any last word?
Drop the mic.
We're out.